have to cover this. Today's show, listen, when I tell you, y'all already know. This story hits incredibly close to home for me. And so in full disclosure, I just want to kind of put this out there. The podcaster at the center of this manufactured outrage is a very good friend of mine. You may have watched his podcast. He is a dear friend and a brother in the Lord of mine. And he is actually married to the superintendent of the city schools of Decatur, Dr. Gyimah Whitaker. So let me just say this clearly before the pink-haired press conference committee starts demanding a daggone safe space. You know these people. They just can't function in real time with the rest of the humans. Dr. Whitaker is not Jason Whitaker. Let me repeat. Dr. Whitaker is not Jason Whitaker. I thought you were the my body, my choice people, right? Like, aren't y'all the ones that believe that a woman is entitled to think for herself and believe what she wants to believe? How is it that the pink-haired hypocrites are struggling to understand that Jason's podcast is Jason's podcast? His views are his views. Her microphone is not his microphone. So since when, because I thought y'all were the ones who believed that the views of one person, how were they now automatically the views of another person? So I want you guys to take a look at this clip. This is an actual local news story. And look, y'all, these people are a piece of work. Take a look at this.
Top story tonight, the Decatur Board of Education announces an investigation following days of controversy surrounding the district's leader. The school superintendent has come under fire for explosive comments her husband made about Muslims and transgender people on his podcast. Fox 5's Christopher King is in Decatur tonight with more. Christopher?
Russ, the Decatur Board of Education made that announcement earlier today here at its headquarters. The board says it's opening an investigation. The board would not divulge the topic of the probe or if it's connected to the superintendent, Gyimah Whitaker. Parents we spoke with want answers.
It's heartbreaking.
Kelly Brown is dismayed. Brown has 3 children in Decatur schools. She says the woman who heads the schools where her kids are enrolled needs to answer for her husband's controversial statements.
I would call.
Wait a minute. The who's the superintendent of the schools needs to answer for her husband's statements. Are you guys following the pronouns used here? You have she, right? And then her, and then his. He and his. I think it's interesting how these people have decided to put the superintendent under investigation over things that her husband said on his show and on his podcast. This woman ain't said nothing. They have not one statement, not one innuendo. They have nothing from Dr. Whitaker herself, but based on what Jason said, we got a whole investigation and parents talking about they are just hurt and shocked and concerned. These people are not honest. Okay, y'all remember a couple of shows ago, I said black people was dishonest and they not honest. Yeah, these white liberals, these people are not honest. We're going to break down what this is really all about. But in the meantime, let's just finish this news clip.
Offensive.
Gyimah Whitaker is the superintendent. Jason Whitaker is her husband. He produces the J Whit podcast out of the Podium Studios he owns in Marietta. In one podcast, he called Muslims, quote, low IQ, and compared them to, quote, 6th century goat herders. In another, he said, quote, there is no such thing as trans men, trans women.
She should actively denounce the hate speech that is coming out of her husband's mouth on that podcast.
Brown, one of a couple dozen parents who protested outside a Decatur Board of Ed meeting on Thursday.
It is funny. Hold on. I can guarantee you, if the roles were reversed, we would not be here. But that is not even the overarching point that I want to make in this video. We're going to finish this clip and then I'm going to cook.
for transparency and an investigation into Superintendent Whitaker.
What we are trying to find out here is mostly where she stands.
The school board held a closed-door executive session to discuss, quote, a personnel.
They don't care where she stands. You know why I know that they don't care where she stands? Because they don't care about where she stands, because if they did, they would ask her to affirm what it is that she believes. It has nothing to do with what Jason believes. Ask her, where does she stand? You don't have to disavow or throw your husband under the bus in order to affirm or assert what it is that you believe. If they were really interested in what she believed, they would just ask her. But they've not done that. They want her to sacrifice her husband on the altar of their ideological weirdness just so they can say, yeah, we got her. We got her.
No matter. The superintendent was not present. The board would not disclose the nature of the private meeting. But in a public session, the school board chair announced it's launching a probe.
In light of the concerns that have come to our attention, a decision has been made by this board to conduct an independent investigation by a third party.
There will be a third-party independent investigator.
Board member Lorraine Iriere would not discuss the focus of the investigation, but she said her community is inclusive.
Our values here in Decatur are to respect diversity and tolerance, and this is not a place for hate.
In just the past hour, Jason Whitaker, he's the husband of the superintendent. He put out a video on YouTube. He says the views he expressed on his podcast were his own, not his wife's. He also apologized if anyone was offended.
Yeah, see, no. That's not what, first of all, that's never going to be enough. And it doesn't matter if Jason articulates that his views are his. It's obvious his views were his because they came out of his mouth on his podcast. And it's not like they came out of his mouth on his podcast when she was on the podcast. Like, none of these things happen. Here's what I need. I need to understand. Since this was his podcast and his microphone, my question is, since when do y'all believe that the views of one person are automatically the views of another person? And unless somebody can show me where Dr. Whitaker has used public money illegally, discriminated against students, mistreated somebody's child, violated a policy, or failed to do her job, then what exactly are we talking about here? Can somebody riddle me this? Exactly what are we talking about here? I can tell you what we're talking about here. What we are watching, you guys, this is not about accountability. This is what these racist Jim Crow liberals always do. I am telling you, these people are just like their Jim Crow ancestors. They just like them. Oh, they are nothing but a bunch of sick, twisted, insecure bullies. And they are so miserable. They are so insecure about any and everything that the only way that they know how to function is by mob rule, just like in the Jim Crow South. All they know is subjugation and oppression, bullying tactics, and mob rule, minus the white cheats this time and the burning crosses, of course. They've got new uniforms. But what these people are trying to do here is punishment by association. They used to do it when they would try to get the black folks in a Jim Crow South to do what it is that they wanted them to do. And even if there were even white sympathizers, y'all thought this was just about ethnicity? No. If you were a white person and you were just remotely viewed as a sympathizer to the Negro, they would come for you too. Plenty of white people were lynched in the Jim Crow South, and you had opportunities barred from you, and you were equally harassed. It was mob rule is all they know. It's the subjugation and the bullying tactics. This is what these people do. It is punishment by association. It's ideological harassment. And it's a couple of things. Definitely ideological harassment, but it's this feminist hypocrisy, and it's the white liberal racism wearing a DEI name tag. Let me explain to you guys what this story is really about. Okay, y'all, I'm telling you, According to this news, right, they're claiming that parents in Decatur are demanding an investigation. They want an explanation as to what it is that Dr. Whitaker believes, and they're even calling for her resignation, not because anything she's done or said or proven to be inadequate in her job. It's all because of comments that her husband made on his podcast that offended Muslims and some transgender activists. So basically, in other words, he hurt somebody's feelings with the truth. And instead of them standing confidently in what they believe, they decided to turn this into a smear campaign. Now, there's a bigger, broader reason why this has turned into a smear campaign, and we're going to get into that. But they claim that this is about what Jason said on his podcast. Okay, fine. Here's the question. What does what Jason said on his podcast have to do with Dr. Whitaker's job performance? I mean, I'm just asking some questions. What does what he has said have to do with student achievement? Like, this is an educational school board environment. This is an educational environment, and not one time did I hear them talk about the outcomes, the any sort of things that she has said that has impacted the ability for her to do her job. I thought y'all cared, right, about the little poor black kids in the hood who like can't read. So I'm trying to understand, what does any of this have to do with whether or not children can read and are hitting their milestones and are actually being educated? What does this have to do with whether, like I said, the little poor black kids in Decatur? We know that they need access to early childhood education in order to improve their outcomes. What does this have to do with that? See, they don't want to talk about any of that. They don't want to talk about that because they want to make this about safety. Right? These are your Miss Millie white liberal Democrats. They want to make this all about trust and community values. But let me translate all of this liberally speak. I need to translate this into plain English for y'all. What they are saying is that we will only trust this black woman if she publicly performs submission to our ideology. That is what this is. That is what they want. They want this black woman, right, who's done a phenomenal job turning things around for the kids in this school district. But see, it's never been about the kids. Oh, no. It's never been about the kids. It's always been about the ideological subversion and the mental sexual assault that they want to do to these kids. See, we're going to talk about that a little later. But for now, these people want Dr. Whitaker to denounce her husband's words, the father of her children. They want her to humiliate her household, and they want her to stand before the liberal mob and say, I reject him. I reject him. I reject his views. I reject his beliefs, his worldview. In fact, I reject him so much, you guys, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to divorce my husband and break up my home, and I'm going to be a single mom on purpose because I'm every woman, right? That's what they want. Please, they want her to get on her knees and say, please, Miss Millie, please, Master Progressive Freak Nasty Diddycrats at the school board, please. I know y'all can't tell us what a woman is or define what a man is, but please grovel and beg to let me keep my job. Please, Miss Millie. I'm sorry, no. That plantation, those antics have expired. We have been ceased operating on that kind of plantation. We're not doing that today. Okay, so let me tell y'all how these Miss Millie Democrats actually work. Y'all remember Miss Millie, right? I'm referring to her. Y'all like, who is Miss Millie? Who is she talking about? Okay, I'm going to tell y'all. Miss Millie, if y'all ever seen the movie The Color Purple, Miss Millie was this dried up, old, hateful, shriveled up wife of the mayor in the movie The Color Purple. And Miss Millie, oh, y'all, she took so much pride in how all the things that she did and how she just loved the poor colored people in the community. And this woman was always virtue signaling. And every time that she had an opportunity to show everybody, see, I just love the coloreds, right? She was fine until one time this one colored woman just stood up to her, and Miss Millie had asked Miss Sophia. One day they called it the filling station, the gas station. And Miss Millie coming around, slobbering, putting all her little pruned up pencil lips all over Miss Sophia's kids, kissing all over them and stuff, just being rude and disrespectful, just taking license to do things that the Miss Millie Democrat just believes that they're entitled to do. And she's kissing all over Miss Sophia's kids. And then she gonna ask Miss Sophia, do you want to come work for me? Be my maid? And Miss Sophia turned around and looked at her and was like, hell no. See, listen, I'm telling y'all, these people think that you're just supposed to bow the knee to whatever it is that they want, and they want to do whatever it is that they want to do and want you to do whatever it is they want you to do. It doesn't matter. They don't care if you're good at your job. The ultimate test is, are you willing to destroy yourself and destroy your family at their expense? And I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. See, in the movie The Color Purple, Miss Sophia was fine until she stood up to Miss Millie. And she claimed she loved Sophia, but the moment Miss Sophia started to assert herself and be like, now, this is about far as I'm going to go. No, hell no, I'm not doing that. It became a problem, and they locked Miss Sophia up and put her in jail. So let me show you what this is really all about. I'm going to show y'all what I mean. Y'all take a look at this. Y'all see this chick? Because these people love to scream, believe women, right? They want you to support women, protect Black women, all of the things. Listen to Black women until that Black woman is not useful to their cause. Then suddenly, they want to interrogate her marriage and her ideas that are not necessarily in her head, but are in her husband's head. Suddenly, they want her to police her home and make her responsible for her husband's thoughts. Now, here's the feminist hypocrisy. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I thought feminism told women that they were independent. Right? Isn't that the prevailing narrative? I thought the feminists said that women were autonomous. I thought feminists said that women, you're not defined by a man, especially not your husband. You are your own woman. You are your own person. So it's funny and hypocritical for me because now Dr. Whitaker, who happens to be married to a Christian man with a microphone, suddenly she must answer for him. I need y'all to pick a struggle. Okay, which one is it? You guys have spent a great deal of time destroying the family, making sure it's her body, her choice. But now, what about now? Apparently, according to the Decatur progressives, a woman is independent unless her husband is conservative. Now, if he's conservative, then she becomes community property, right? The irony here is so thick you could spread it on a piece of toast, because this woman right here, one of the school board members, let me look at this scholar right here. This woman actually sits on the City of Decatur School Board. This virtue signaling dingbat, she wears this shirt. She was wearing it in the video. Matter of fact, let me see if I can scroll back to it. Now, this is a picture of her wearing it here. This is the same chick who sits on the school board. This is the woman that is responsible for overseeing how children are educated. Y'all see her there, right? You see the little pro-Black shirt? This is the virtue signal. These people don't really mean this. Well, this is same shirt. This is her. Look at all of the things that this woman is advocating on this shirt. You are on the school board, and this claims to be about education, but you're pro-Black, pro-brown, pro-queer, pro-trans, I can't read the other one, pro-science, right? Pro-choice, pro-ho. Can somebody explain to me how a person who's responsible for overseeing how children are educated wears a shirt that says she is pro-ho, And she's not talking about a gardening tool, by the way, but you want me to believe that you're offended by Jason Whitaker's podcast? Girl, please. How are you out here publicly? And these are like, in the city of Decatur, there's this one school in particular, this elementary school, that's going to be the subject of the discussion we're going to talk about here today. I just want to ask, how are you pro-ho? And you're out here publicly promoting sexual rebellion in front of children on a t-shirt at a press conference, and you're demanding the superintendent resign and answer to you. But you've out here scandalized because a Christian man has said that God made them male and female. But you're out here talking about you pro-ho. Y'all, listen. This is what happens when the moral compass, it ain't just broke. It's been sold on Facebook Marketplace and for like $3 with a pack of glitter stickers. Okay, these people are not honest. They don't care about safety or educating children or protecting kids at all. These people don't give a darn about these kids. In fact, they are thoroughly committed to destroying these kids, and they do not care about the educational outcomes of these kids. They care about the ideological outcomes of these kids. That's what they care about. They would rather your kid be out here claiming to be a furry, asking for a whole litter box. But when it comes to reading on grade level, that's not important. We'd rather harass the superintendent about something her husband said on our podcast. So that's what let me tell you what this is about. This is not about children. Because if this were about children, the conversation would be about literacy and the outcomes that have been obtained under Dr. Whitaker's leadership. They'd be talking about the early intervention. They would be talking about school performance. It would be about whether Decatur's most vulnerable families, do they have access to a quality education? Do the children in the lower income communities, are they given the tools that they need before they hit kindergarten because they're already behind? But that's not. The outrage machine, they don't want to focus on any of that. You see, the little black kids who can't read, they're not the priority. See, they need little black kids, especially the black boys. They need them concerned about wearing a dress and prancing around singing It's Raining Men while at a drag queen story hour. This has never been about educating children or making sure that these kids are safe. These people are about capturing children. There is a difference because education would focus and teach children how to think. But these indoctrination camps are telling children how or what they are allowed to think. That's what these racist white progressives are really angry about. They are angry that Dr. Whitaker is doing what she's supposed to be doing, which is focusing on education and not the ideological worship. Dr. Whitaker has said nothing that is harmful or offensive to any of these children or their parents. She has respected their rights. All of the people, regardless of how they are, she has respected their right to think and feel whatever it is that they want. Why? Because she is focused with the end goal of mind of educating these children. This woman wants to build a school to help these kids and to get rid of the school that has a lower enrollment that is a waste of money. But you see, they don't want to talk about that. See, the real problem here, this is about them not wanting to they don't want to close the school that has a low enrollment. And they don't want her to build a school for the black kids in the hood who need it. So what do? The mob has found the pressure point. They come for her husband. See, that's how these people operate. They don't just disagree with you. No, they'll investigate you, smear you, pressure your employer, harass your family, threaten your livelihood. They will punish your spouse and make the process is the punishment. They know that this woman has done nothing wrong, but because leftism is not a worldview of tolerance, It is a worldview of control. They have to put you through hell, and they have to try to make your life a living hell until you bow the knee and do whatever it is that they want. And you want me to believe that these are not the same racist Jim Crow liberals of yesteryear? Yeah, you must think I'm black and slow. Okay, because we all know that is exactly who these people are. These Karens are the worst. They have the most miserable lives, and these white liberals have a very specific relationship with black people. Oh, please believe it. Oh, yeah, they love black people as long as black people are useful. They will tout how much they love black women and how powerful we are as long as black women are obedient. As long as the black leadership makes them feel good about themselves, and as long as the black leadership is repeating all of the talking points and solidifies their white savior complex, they are fine with you. But the moment a black woman is not perceived as their ideological property, whether they have evidence of it or not, doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be based on anything she has done or anything she has said. It is simply because her husband has a fully functioning brain and he chooses to think for himself. Now the mask slips. Oh yeah, then all of the Black Lives Matter language, that goes out the window and disappears. All of the equity and the inclusivity that they preach, yeah, that discourse disappears. Here comes the truth. It is about control, suspicion, paternalism, the white savior, Jim Crow, subjugation, bully mob, white mob punishment. That's what this is. It is the same old plantation spirit with a new yard sign. They will put Black Lives Matter in the front yard, but it's only if those Black lives vote, think, speak, parent, worship, and submit the way they tell them to, because y'all forgot we own you Negroes. Oh yes, that is why I say that the white liberal racism is one of the most dishonest forms of racism in America, and that is the white racism that is the most prevalent. Because at least back in the day, at least the old school racists, they kind of told you, look, we don't like you Negroes. Okay, like I can live with that. But the white liberal will smile on your face, put a whole rainbow sticker on their laptop and says, hey, I'm an ally. I love you guys. But then they will try to destroy a black woman only because her husband has a biblical worldview. And they want you to believe that they're your ally. Nah, these people think they own you. I'm telling you that's what this is. At the end of the day, these people are trying to make an example out of Dr. Whitaker. And I'm simply here to say a wife is not a public relations department for her husband. The husband is the husband, the wife is the wife, and a husband is not a political hostage for his wife. We don't believe in collective punishment. When I stand before God and I have to give an account for what it is that I do, not what my husband does, not what my husband says. And in the same way, a public servant, when you serve the public, it does not require a woman to put her husband on the altar of progressive approval. Since when did we do that? I know that's what y'all think that's what should happen, but we don't do that. You're supposed to judge by righteous judgments. You don't just judge by appearances and then make these assumptions. So let me ask Decatur's outrage committee, where is the righteous judgment in this instance? Where's the evidence that Dr. Whitaker has mistreated children? Where is the evidence that she has failed to serve families? Where is the evidence that she has used her office to discriminate against anyone? Because if all you have is, well, her husband has said something that we don't like on his podcast, then you don't have a scandal. I know you think you do, but you don't. All you have is a tantrum. And I pray she sues the rainbow hot pants off of you racist liberals. I'm so sick of this, because here's the bottom line. Dr. Whitaker, she should be judged by her record and her job performance, not her husband's podcast, not by the emotional temperature of the activist parents, not the ideological demands of the school board member, not the fake outrage, because it's fake outrage and fake tolerance of some of these people who they only tolerate what they already agree with. Okay, all of this entire manipulative guilt machine These leftist identity politics, that's all this is. Today it may be Jason Whitaker's podcast. Tomorrow it's going to be something else. They'll come for your church membership. Well, I heard you go to this church. Since you go to this church, you can't work here. This is how cultural tyranny works. I told y'all these Democrats are the same evil tyrants that they've always been. They've not changed. They will never hesitate to make an example out of a few people so that everybody else learns how to stay quiet. So I am here to say, look, let Dr. Whitaker do her job. Y'all need to leave this woman alone and let her continue to make a difference in the lives of the children that you claim to care about, especially the little poor black ones, the little ones in the hood that she wants to build the school for, that you don't want to give the funding for, but you want to keep the other school open. The enrollment is so low that it's not even worth keeping open, but it's in a little white area. So you want to keep that school, but you don't want her to build the school for the little poor black kids. Listen, we will not pretend that a black woman must grovel before white liberals to keep her job. We're not doing that. So I'm curious to know, what do you guys think? Should a superintendent be held responsible for her spouse's personal podcast, like things he says on his podcast? Or do you think this is just another way that white liberals show us who they are, and they're using the podcast as a smokescreen to get rid of a black woman who's effective at her job, but because she wants to build a school for the little poor black kids, we can't have actual black kids actually learning with some positive outcomes. Nah, we can't have that. But I'm curious to know, what do you guys think? Leave me your comments down in the box below. And until next time, you guys, stand firm, stay bold, and above all else, stay unshakable. Grace and peace.